women have never been as complicated as you think. It's men who turn everything into a maze. Generations have been lulled by the same lie that to make a woman obsessed, you must be as handsome as an actor, richer than the rest, funnier than everyone else. So millions of men throw themselves into an endless race. Some sweat in the gym, some collapse at the office, some throw away their entire lives just to earn a nod of approval. And in the end, they're all left in silence. This truth is dangerous. But undeniable obsession doesn't come from what you show, but from what you make someone feel in the unconscious. It's not magic, not manipulation, but the ability to read the undercurrents in a woman's mind, the very currents even she herself isn't aware of. Most men die old with that secret buried. But you right now are standing before the door that most never manage to open through methods that are simple to understand and apply yet grounded in the core of human psychology. This is Victory Stoic, and that door is about to burst open. 1. Don't focus on her beauty. The first rule: don't recycle the same compliments every man has already used to exhaustion. You're so pretty, you're beautiful, you look stunning today. Polite? Yes, but to an attractive woman, they're no different from an alarm clock ringing every morning. At first, it startles. Eventually, she just wants to shut it off. The trap here is men thinking that praising her looks automatically earns points. In reality, women hear it so often that it loses value. Psychology shows that predictable compliments don't trigger dopamine. The brain filters them out like spam ads. The result, you're instantly labeled just another average guy, nothing more. To stand out, shift your perspective. Instead of praising her dress, praise how she uses her eyes to guide the conversation. Instead of her smile, praise the sharpness of her insight that silences a whole table. Those are the rare details that make you stand apart. When you do this, something subtle happens. She starts seeking validation from you. Not because you flatter her, but because you see through. And it's that hunger that makes her obsessed. 2. Step back when she wants to come closer. A paradox, but absolutely crucial when she leans in. The smart man doesn't rush forward. Most men get stuck right here. The moment she looks deeper, leans closer, or texts more often, they react like starving men, lunging in with all their eagerness. But that's exactly when attraction dies. Women don't need a predictable man, much less one who can't restrain himself. Rush in too quickly, and you take on the role of a cheap item reachable with a single grab. The fix is simple. When she initiates, take one slow breath. When she wants closer, hold just enough distance. When the texts come flooding in, don't turn yourself into a call center operator. Reply selectively and a beat slower. That restraint creates space, and space is always more attractive than clinginess. Psychology proves this. Dopamine, the pleasure chemical, peaks during anticipation, not instant gratification. When you step back, you keep that anticipation alive. The result isn't that she finds you boring, but that she hasn't fully won you. And that sense of incompleteness is what makes you the center of her mind. 3. Unexpected humor. The rule is simple: one light, well-timed quip can reset a woman's brain and etch you into her long-term memory. But remember one line at the right moment, not turning the whole interaction into a bargain bin comedy show. The common trap is thinking the more you joke, the more charming you are. In reality, the harder you try to be funny, the cheaper you become. Women may laugh, but it's a tired laugh, like drumming fingers on a desk just to keep time. Example: she's obsessed with lipstick with a cabinet full of them. Passing a struggling cosmetics store, you glance and quip. Guess they haven't heard of you yet. Short, sly, and sharp enough to spark real laughter. But if you pile on 10 more jabs about shoes, dresses, bags, lipsticks, you instantly become the graceless guy. Done right, the effect is clear. she begins to associate you with novelty and intelligence. She remembers you not because you forced humor, but because you knew where, when, and how much to make her genuinely laugh. From a single quip, you become the man she remembers and retells to friends. Not because you're a clown, but because you're sharp and hit a rare nerve. 4. Create a little jealousy. Women don't become obsessed with the guy glued to them like superglue. They notice the man who walks into a room, confidently greets colleagues, catches up with old friends over dinner, laughs loud telling a story, and casually stoops to help a stranger pick up a fallen wallet. He doesn't brag, doesn't flirt, he just lets his social energy speak. And right then, the woman beside him sits straighter. The common mistake is turning yourself into her exclusive satellite, cutting off all other relationships to prove loyalty. Sounds romantic, but in reality it cheapens you because she knows for sure no one else wants you. But when you have your own life, healthy relationships, and you shine in public, she cannot dismiss you. Social science calls this social proof. People value you higher when they see others value you. And in a woman's eyes, that is what makes her jealous and makes you unforgettable. 5. Carry the mindset that you can walk away at any time. One of the most attractive auras a man can have is freedom. When you carry the mindset, I can leave at any time, you're not the desperate clinger, you're the one who chooses to stay. Women sense this faster than you think. The common mistake is men who cling so afraid of losing that they turn every date into a loyalty test. She replies, "Late, you panic." She says she's busy, you scramble and beg. Everything you do only exposes the truth. You have no other options. And when a woman knows you don't dare to leave, your pull evaporates instantly. Psychology calls this the principle of alternatives. The person who can walk away is almost always seen as more valuable. And that very feeling of your freedom makes women hold tighter, because they know you'll never have to beg to remain. 6. Frame control. Don't play her game, pull her into yours. Men often lose not for lack of strength, but for lack of a frame. She throws a jab, you immediately switch into rapid explanation mode. She puts on an angry face, you scramble to explain. She sighs, and instantly you feel guilty. And so instead of being a man, you become a complaint hotline operator. The mistake is that you join her game. She drags you into the emotional battlefield where the rules change by the minute. A bad day at work turns into a pointless fight with you. A moment of fatigue becomes, "You never care about me." And you, instead of standing outside and observing, jump into the game with a referee who changes the rules every whistle. You've already lost before kickoff. Frame control doesn't mean pretending to be a cold block of ice. It's the posture of an adult, calm, warm, steady. When she's angry, instead of arguing, you can smile, hand her a glass of water, and say, "I'm here when you're ready to talk." Light words, but that calmness pulls her out of the storm. In that moment, you stop being an opponent in her emotional war and become her refuge. Psychology calls this frame dominance. The one who holds the calm frame forces others to adjust. When you stand steady, she can't pull you into her frame. She must step into the space you create. And that's when attraction ignites. Women don't obsess over hotheads. They obsess over the man who doesn't waver, yet is warm enough to be a shelter. So don't be the frantic man arguing every word. Be the man sitting on the chair, watching the game, deciding, "Today, I'm not playing. If you want in, you step into my frame." And believe me, that's when she will. 7. Become unpredictable. One deadly mistake men make is turning themselves into desk calendars. She flips to Monday, already knows what you'll do. Tuesday, same again. Sunday, just a copy-paste of last week. Such men seem stable, but in truth, they're so dull, women don't even need to guess anymore. And when everything is predictable, her brain instantly cuts dopamine. In other words, you're no longer attractive. You're just an old rerun on TV. This mistake stems from the urge to please. Men think indulging her every preference, repeating what she likes, will make her love more. In reality, you just turn yourself into a 24/7 love delivery service, predictable, replaceable, not worth obsession. The fix is simple but powerful. Be unpredictable intelligently. If you usually reply to her texts in 2 minutes, sometimes wait 20. If you call every evening tonight, go to the gym or grab dinner with friends. If she's used to you always saying yes, try once to smile and say, "I've got my own plans today." Not to play cat and mouse, but to remind her you have your own life. Psychology calls this the variable reward effect, like a slot machine, because you never know exactly when the reward comes, people get hooked. When you're unpredictable, she thinks more, imagines more, and gradually that uncertainty itself makes you her obsession. Put simply, don't be a one-note tune. Be a melody with highs, lows, silence, and bursts. Because in love, uncertainty is what holds the strongest grip. 8. Micro-mystery. Don't tell it all, let her imagination burn. Men naively think spilling every detail builds trust. She asks about your job, you pull out the full report. She asks about your salary, you rattle off the number down to the last cent. Sounds transparent, but in reality, you just killed her imagination, the very thing that makes women obsessed. Women don't lie awake at night, wondering if you ate noodles or soup. But they will lose sleep, trying to guess, how good is he really? How much does he make? Why do his colleagues respect him? Is that other woman interested in him? Those ellipses are the fuel that keeps her mind burning. The biggest mistake men make is turning themselves into open books. You tell everything like a machine, she reads it once and then gets bored with no reason to turn the page. Meanwhile, the smart man only reveals parts. When she asks you smile, there are some interesting things at work. I'll tell you sometime. You don't lie, you just leave space. And it's that space that makes her brain spin. Psychology calls this the allure of ambiguity. People often value what they don't fully know because the brain hates uncertainty and will spend energy filling it in. The less you reveal, the more she thinks. The result, she's not just curious, she begins to idealize. In her imagination, you're richer, sharper, more desired than you ever actually said. And once a woman starts building your image in her mind, you've already become her obsession even without lifting a finger. 9. Contrast of warmth and coolness. The emotional addiction effect. If you're always warm, a woman will see you as bland as a glass of water. If you're always cold, she'll see you as a freezer, curious at first glance. But once touched, she'll walk away. What makes women addicted is the rhythm of highs and lows, the contrast between warmth and coolness, closeness and distance. That's the game of dopamine in the brain, and the secret that keeps them hooked. Men often fail at both extremes. On one side are the overdose sweethearts, texting good morning, checking in at noon, soothing at night. At first, she finds it pleasant, but after a month, it feels like swallowing cotton candy non-stop, nauseating to the point she wants to escape. On the other side are the full-time statues pretending to be cold, never texting first, never giving a compliment, thinking silence will make them mysterious. In reality, women just feel tired. And so you remove yourself from the game. The real pull lies in the contrast. You're warm at the right moments, so she feels safe, cared for. Then you pull back, leaving enough coolness to make her miss and search. When you return with a bit of warmth again, her brain doubles the dopamine hit, because reward after scarcity feels twice as strong. This is the reward prediction error mechanism in neuroscience. Rewards that come unpredictably create stronger addiction. That's what makes you a hard habit to quit. Example, you're having a fun conversation. She's laughing nonstop. At that moment, instead of staying 3 more hours and emptying every joke you have, you smile, stand up. I've got to go. I'll finish the story another time. She's surprised, disappointed. But that disappointment keeps you in her head all night. The next day you return with a warm text. You laughed so much yesterday, I bet you slept well. Just one warm, cool, warm cycle is enough to send her emotions on a roller coaster. The key is authenticity. Don't use this as a cheap trick. Let it be the natural rhythm of a man with his own life. When you truly have things to do, friends to see, passions to pursue, the cool comes naturally. And when you truly care, the warmth is genuine. It's that authenticity that builds lasting pull. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "He who controls his desires is free." Freedom here means you're not chained to constantly proving affection, nor dragged into someone else's emotional games. You're warm when you choose, you step back when you must. And women, though their logic may say, leave their hearts get addicted to that rhythm. The result? A relationship no longer flat, but with peaks, pauses, rhythms that keep her anticipating the next move. This isn't manipulation, but the art of keeping emotions alive. Because women don't crave a perfect man, they crave the man who knows how to give them a taste of lack, and then fill it in ways only he can. Stoicism. The secret that makes women obsessed with you. Most men grow up with the wrong belief. To keep a woman, you must constantly prove your affection. They think she'll be touched if they text non-stop, call every night, buy gifts at every chance. They think constant presence is proof of love. But the truth, the more you cling, the more you lose value. Women don't obsess over men who are always available. They obsess over the man who keeps his center, the one who cannot be dragged into emotional games. And that is the essence of Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Be like the rock against which the waves break, yet it stands firm. Be the rock that waves crash upon, but still stands steady." Women in love unconsciously test you with waves, a teasing remark, a flare of anger, a day of silence. Immature men instantly react, scrambling to soothe or argue. But the Stoic man is different. He doesn't rush into the waves. He stands firm, letting his steadiness be the ground. That difference is what makes women obsessed. They can control most men with a few small gestures, but not you. And what cannot be controlled becomes what they crave. The ingrained belief of men is, if I don't appease her, she'll leave. Reality is the opposite. The more you fear losing, the easier you lose. Women don't want to be the center of a man with no direction. They want to be drawn into the world of a man who already has one. Epictetus reminded, no man is free who is not master of himself. When you master yourself, you don't cling. You can love but never beg. You can care but never lose yourself. And deep down, women are pulled toward that very freedom. Women won't say it aloud, but in their subconscious, they respect the man who can regulate distance. One day you're warm, listening, giving her safety. The next day you're quiet, busy with your own life, offering little explanation. That contradiction makes her misdoubt and ask herself, what's he thinking? What will he do next? That's when you take up residence in her mind, not with gifts or texts, but with steady, deliberate presence. The bottom line, women don't need a man who always bends to their will. They need a man with a firm frame to test, to lean on, to be drawn into a life worth living. If you fall into the trap of pleasing endlessly, you become a servant. If you hold the Stoic spirit, you become the center of gravity. She may get angry, she may pout, but the more she tests, the more she finds you unshaken. And that's what makes her addicted. When a woman obsesses over you, it doesn't come from you keeping her happy all day. It comes from you making her feel both insecure and safe, both curious and respectful. You are the paradox she cannot solve. And that paradox is lasting pull. Stoicism doesn't teach you to be an emotionless statue. It teaches you to be the flame in the forge, sometimes burning to warm, sometimes smoldering to temper steel, but never burning recklessly. Closing. Women don't obsess over cheap compliments or repetitive gifts. They obsess when they meet a man who stands firm through storms, a man unmoved by emotional games. The Stoic man is not the one who chases, nor the one who lives to please. He doesn't need to flaunt or beg for praise. He is simply the man with a center, a direction, a weight. And it's that steadiness that keeps women from looking away. Stoicism doesn't make you cold, it makes you strong in control. Not to turn you into stone, but into a flame that knows how to hold itself both warm and disciplined. Remember, a tree only proves its strength when the storm rises. So do you. Stand firm in your frame while everything else shakes, and you've already become the center. And if she truly is the right one, she'll step into the world you're building without you ever having to beg. Comment below. Stand firm. Lead strong. To remind yourself and other men to rise together. And if you know a brother who needs this message, share it with him today. This is Victory Stoic. See you in the next video.